Hey guys, this is Illusion PODFIC, and today we're going to be reading Jason Todd's Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Week by Cylinder Boo. This is Chapter 4. A Cell in the Watchtower. Jason was not having a good time, to put it simply. It had been 3 days since his initial kidnapping, 2 since they'd stuck him in a steel gray cell with no windows and barely enough space to walk around, and he was bored. He used to think captivity was fun, but apparently that was only true when his kidnappers were half as capable, twice as aggressive, and evil. His healing factor had apparently decided to take the week off since his ribs still burned when he breathed, even though they should have been at least somewhat healed by now. All in all, terrible. His only source of relief was the 1 or 2 times a league member would come down and try to interrogate him. That, at least, was entertaining. Jason was jerked out of his thoughts by a knock on his cell bars, and a tranquilizer dart hitting his neck. The next time he woke up, he was in that damn interrogation room again, clock ticking behind his head. He really wanted to smash it. Stay calm. We meet again, Hood, Wonder Woman said. She stood across the table as she usually did, Superman next to her and the Atom in the chair in front of them both. Be weird if we didn't, seeing as I've been stuck in your basement for 3 days. He snapped. His patience was really wearing thin at this point. So? I thought I'd hammered that you're not getting anything out of me into your thick skull, Diana. On the contrary, we're here because we think we figured out something about you. The Atom placed a manila folder on the table, opening it to a page of test results. We took a blood sample while you were unconscious. Oh, fuck. Fuck. Yeah? He stuttered, cursing himself for it. Find anything interesting, Palmer? If Adam seemed surprised by Jason knowing his civilian identity, he didn't show it. Great. There went his one and only intimidation factor. You seem to have an incredibly high concentration of chemicals I've only seen in one place running through your veins. Adam affixed Jason with a curious, almost analytical look. So tell me, when did you take a swim in the Lazarus pit? Shit. Fuck off. I said you aren't getting a thing out of me. Unfortunately for you, we're not giving you that choice this time. Diana pulled out her lasso, tying it into a loop. So you finally decided to bust out the lasso? Jason was confused. Why now? Any reason it took you this long, or did you just love my sunny personality so much you wanted to keep me around for a bit? The lasso heals anyone it touches from toxins and poisons, Diana explained, rolling her eyes at his antics. It started burning through the pit chemicals in your veins, which began to kill you. I'm sure you noticed the burn marks on your wrist from that endeavor. Jason twisted his wrist uncomfortably at her words, feeling a twinge of pain from the burn wound. He'd assumed it was just chafing from the rope, but considering how bad the burns were on only one wrist, that made more sense. Luckily, Adam was able to synthesize a temporary suppressant that allows you to survive while being touched by the lasso, which we administered in the dart earlier. Oh, lucky me, Jason hissed as the edges of his right glove was pulled down, and the lasso was slipped around his bare wrist. It was warm, uncomfortably so, teetering on the edge of burning. Do you know what this is? Superman held up 2 familiar canisters of toxin, one marked with green and the other with red. Green canister for fear toxin, red one's anger toxin, Jason said, words spilling out of his mouth involuntarily. Fuck. That was going to be hard to resist. Made by Scarecrow. Nasty stuff. Where'd you get it? We're asking the questions here. Diana leaned forward, taking the red canister and placing it on the table. The chemicals in the anger toxin can be found in your veins, or more specifically, the Lazarus pit. How do we synthesize an antidote? Jason leaned away from the canister unconsciously, the smell of cinnamon and iron making him want to throw up. My brother is better at chemical stuff than I am, he said, biting tongue at Tim's name. He'd gotten this far. There's no way in hell he was giving away his siblings' identities now. My dad can synthesize one for the fear toxin too, but the anger shit is new. Been around a few months, maybe? They're still working on an antidote. You have a family? Clark blurted. An annoying one, yeah. Jason's mind became a swirl of fuck, as words continued to tumble out of his mouth. 4 brothers, 2 sisters, dad, and grandfather. Where can we find this brother of yours? Diane asked. Gotham. Duh. Jason bit his tongue a second time, this time tasting blood. His vision went green with pit madness, the lasso heating up around his wrist. I swear to God, if you go anywhere near him, I'm going to rip your fucking head off. Suddenly, his body was engulfed in white-hot pain, bleeding any green from his sight in seconds. The pain receded with his madness, senses clearing enough for him to notice the buzzing sound fill the air. Not buzzing, screaming. Oh, that was him. Hood! Hood! He felt hands grasp his arm, his burning hot wrist, and removing the lasso, and suddenly he could breathe again. What the fuck was that? He panted, gulping in sweet oxygen and ignoring the searing pain in his ribs as he did. It seems that anger triggers your body to make more Lazarus Pit chemicals, thus burning through the suppressant in a near instant. Adam explained shakily, writing something down into his files. Great. Jason let his head fall back, glaring at the ceiling as if it could rid him of the black creeping out the edge of his vision. Something tells me you're not going to stop this interrogation despite that. Now that you have seen the damage your anger can do, you have an incentive to tell the truth, Diana said simply. You do realize you're talking to the kid that has explosives in his helmet, right? Not anymore, but whatever. The logic still applied. There isn't a single thing I wouldn't do to protect my family, and that includes getting tortured by a magical rope because I have anger issues. We'll curb the interrogation until another day, then. Diana snapped as she gathered the rope, attaching it to her belt again. This conversation isn't over. Yep. Jason popped the piece, suddenly feeling very tired. His vision went black. An unknown amount of hours later, Jason woke with a start to someone knocking on his bars of his cell. Already? He groaned, rolling over with a pained groan. Wow, his ribs were in a lot of pain now, to see who was there. Hood, Flush said, his voice upbeat as usual, but there was a barely discernible edge of malice to it that sounded wrong coming from him. Look, I'm not technically supposed to talk to you, but I need to know more about this. He held up a canister of anger toxin, and Jason wished he could fall asleep and never wake up again, because he really, really didn't want to deal with this anymore. Ask one of your JLI friends. I'm tired. He tried to roll over and fall back asleep, but jerked into a sitting position when he heard a fist slam against the metal. Why the fuck are you punching my cell bars? They won't tell me anything. Nothing makes sense anymore. Flash collected himself with a deep breath, plopping down to sit on the floor next to the cell doors. This stuff has been flying all over Central City for weeks now, and everything has been off since then. My temper is shorter, I'm scared and anxious all the time, and Adam did some tests, and I managed to find these in the city, but no one's telling me anything anymore. It's anger toxin, Jason explained hesitantly, heart twinging with sympathy for Flash. He'd never been dosed with anger toxin before, thanks to his helmet, but he'd seen enough people be affected by it to know it wasn't pleasant. You're probably being dosed with it daily in Central City. Fear toxin, too, if the anxiety is anything to go by. Is there an antidote? For the fear shit, there is. Batsy can make use of once he's back from whatever mission he's on now. For anger toxin, there isn't one yet, Jason said, regretting his words as Flash perked up suddenly, jumping to his feet. Yet? He pressed himself to the bars, anger toxin canister dangerously close from slipping between his fingers. Careful with that, Alan, Jason warned him, and Flash removed a hand from the bars so that he could properly hold the toxin. And yeah, your little league already knows, so I might as well mention it. I know someone who's working on an antidote, but I wouldn't get your hopes up for it anytime soon. Your best bet is Diana's lasso right now. No? Who? I want to talk to them. Flash pressed, and Jason's vision went dangerously green. Not a fucking option. Touch him, and I hunt you for sport. He snarled, signature Red Hood anger leaking into his voice. Okay, then. Flash held up his hands placatingly. He took a few steps back, and with him the green receded from Jason's vision. The lasso of truth, huh? Talk to her about it, or something. I couldn't care less, and I'm now going back to sleep. No, you're not. You're telling me more about this. How's it made? How the fuck am I supposed to know that? The Scarecrow manufactures it, not me. Jason flopped off the bed with an annoyed growl, leveling Flash with a glare before realizing he was still wearing his helmet. Wait until Batman's back. He fought Scarecrow hundreds of times. Knows more about him than I do. That was a partial truth. B had tangled with Dr. Crane a lot more than Jason had. But after spending a few days infiltrating his labs, he knew a lot more about the process than he wanted to let on. Rather not make himself look responsible for all this. Fuck, Spooky's only going to be back by Tuesday. Flash took a few steps back before gripping the cell bars again, almost as if to hold himself up. Too long. That person you mentioned earlier, would you be willing to take me to them? A green flash of anger spiked in Jason, and he had to take a deep breath to calm down. Kinda stuck in his cell right now, so... No, he growled. You're not going anywhere near them if I have anything to say about it. What if... Okay, well, this is a bad idea even by my standards. I let you out in exchange for taking me to this person. I just want to talk to them once. Wow, you're right. This is a stupid idea. Jason would have laughed if he wasn't so ticked off right now. What makes you think the League would even let me leave? Well, I could just not tell them. Jason blinked. How stupid. Never mind. He'd have to talk to Bruce about his choice of co-workers later. Say you let me go, he hypothesized. What stops me from hitting you on over the head, or shooting you, or even just taking off my helmet while you're running me there and blowing both of us up? Killing me would just make the League hunt you down, so you wouldn't. That's not going to stop me from killing you. Well, I'm stressed, okay? I can't think straight right now, Flash complained, rubbing his head. I want to trust you, even though it's a really stupid idea, because you're my only hope of helping Central City. That make any sense? The gas must really be doing a number on him. Jason thought about it for a second. Flash had met Nightwing as far as he knew, so he could just find Dick and get word to Tim about the anger talk. Hopefully he could then stay off the grid until Tuesday, when Bruce would get back and explain everything. That could work. Okay, Jason said simply. Okay? Flash repeated. You have my word, on one condition. Flash looked at him expectantly, so Jason continued. You're not going anywhere near the kid. We're meeting up with someone that knows them instead. Someone reliable. Are you kidding me? That's definitely a trap, Flash shot back. That's all I'm offering. Take it or leave it. Flash mulled over a second, pacing the length of a jail cell in a split second before speaking again. I don't like it, but I'll take it, he said, voice taking on a harsh edge. Just so you know, I technically don't have clearance to actually open the door, so I'm going to have to bust it down. This better work. He secured the canister to his belt, zipped away, and then, wham! Hiss! The cell door burst into pieces, sending shrapnel through the room as Flash plowed into it. For a split second, Jason genuinely thought that this batshit crazy plan would actually work. But then the alarms started blaring. Never mind then. And suddenly, his senses were overcome with the acrid smell of iron and spicy cinnamon, making him want to sneeze and throw up at the same time. Red flooded his vision, billowing through the room. Luckily, his mask kept him safe from this stuff, but that wasn't what he was worried about. Flash, you need to run. The toxin! Jason tried to say, only for his eyes to land on the red-clad speedster emerging from the smoke. Oh, fuck. The billowing red toxin seemed to blend with Flash's suit, taking deep breaths of it as an alarm blared. New plan, he said, voice teetering on dangerous. He picked up a steel bar that had broken off the cell door. Who's this kid? And where do I find them, Red Hood? Well, fuck. Back at the manor, around the same time, Tim's head felt like it was about to explode. He'd been combing through Bruce's logs for the last 15 hours to no avail. He'd lost track of how much coffee he'd consumed at that time. But it couldn't be good. Despite the time, Damian and Duke were sitting with him, the former with his nose in a sketchbook, undoubtedly drawing scenes of violence he saw during patrol that day, and the latter working on a school essay that Tim would probably have to catch up on once all this was over. Huh. Tim blinked a few times, highlighting a bit of code generated after Bruce would have gone through the Zeta tube if his meticulous searching was accurate. None of this makes any sense. It just disappears. You must have done something wrong, Drake. That's not possible unless you turned off his tracker when he went there. Damian snarled, drawing a particularly harsh line that Tim could hear from across the room. No, the code here says it's still pinging, just out of range. Tim shot back, rubbing his face tiredly. But that doesn't make any sense. It's not like he's in space or something. It can't be that hard to find, Duke commented, not even looking up from his essay. Wait. Duke, say that again. Tim stood up, shaking off the blanket he draped over his legs to sit next to his brother. What? It's not like it's in space. His eyes went wide. Oh. That is not a half bad idea. Tim brought up a map of satellites. Obviously, I can't track it in space right now, but if I configure the code to be transferred through a satellite, I might... What's the point? Damian cut him off, affixing Tim with a glare over the edge of his sketchbook. If it's nowhere we can find on Earth, it'll just be in space, and we're not getting onto it without going through a Zeta tube. And as little faith as I have in you, Drake, I don't think even you are stupid enough to break in through the front door. Yes, I am aware, except I'm going to do it properly. Tim brought up another program. Do you think we could get Oracle to hack the Zeta tubes to give us access? She's the one who helped Dad create the system in the first place, so it shouldn't take longer than a day or two. That could work. Duke rubbed his chin. We'll do it tomorrow. Dick's going to be home from patrol in like half an hour, and he is going to flay us alive if we aren't asleep by then. Fine. Talk to me when you have an inkling of a plan. Damian placed down his sketchbook and pencil, jumping off the couch and disappearing up the stairs to his room. Well, at least he's coming with us. Tim sighed. Night, Duke. Night, Tim. He just hoped Jason was still okay. Alright, guys, and that is the end of Chapter 4 of Jason Todd's Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Week by Slender Boo. I hope you guys liked it, and we'll see you next chapter.